guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my May wrap-up part 2. Wow, I cannot believe how many books I've read this month. I think it's an all-time high. I don't know if that means I'm a bad mum because I've read too many books when I'm looking after kids, or whether it's the fact that it's kept me sane. I don't know, but shall I get down to it? I've read 31 books this month. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. And most of that has been in the second half of the month, which is when I thought that I would go down. Looking after kids and homeschooling has meant that, if anything, I have to either I've been picking up books when I can. I've been relying on books for my sanity, but I haven't been able to go anywhere, so that sort of means I've saved time on that front. And all the TV has been dedicated to the children, so that's my other excuse. So, shall I get down to the exact figures? So, because I've read 31 books this month, but I got given quite a lot, my physical unread TBR is now 334. So technically only gone up by 4. But that's because I've been getting through a lot of books that I've been borrowing. Otherwise it would have gone down even more. It would have gone in a bit less. But Charlie's been lending me loads of books. I've had audio books. I've had books from other people that they've been lending to me. So that's kind of what sort of affected it a bit. I've read a total of 11,159 pages. Like I said, that does include audiobooks though. And now let's get down to genre statistics. So, I only read 1 graphic novel this month, which you would have heard about in wrap-up part 1. Read 2 classics. Not particularly happy on that. Really wish I would have got that figure a bit higher. But Mental Health and Song was in May, so that kind of really took up a lot of that bit. Only 2 thrillers and mysteries. That a bit gutted on that. I really wanted that number to be a bit higher. There was 3 historical fiction. Again, that's understandable because of the month it's been. But now the figures are where it's the highest. 7 non-fiction books. Again, that is one of the highest it's ever been, which is fantastic. And I found they've really helped with mental health and so on, and they've been really relatable to that. But that number will definitely be dropping in June. And now the joint 2 top genres, 8 YA and kids, which again makes sense to me because the next 2 balance out all the harder hitting books, and then there's 8 contemporary and chick lit. Contemporary and chick lit really does cover everything. They're not just the standard girly chick lits, but they are more the contemporary books, contemporary/fiction books. So that area is a very wide area. And but again, I needed them. Like, when you've done mental health on books, you really need other books to lighten it up. So I'm not beating myself up about that. Right now, with lockdown, with the way things are, I need to go for comfort reads, and I'm sure a lot of you would have done that. So, because I've read so many books this month, I can't go into exact details on all of the books and go into too much detail. If you'd like to know more, please feel free to check out my TBR video and go onto my Goodreads page, which I will try and remember to link below. Okay, should we get down to it then? So, my least favourite book of the month was for a mental health song book, and that's Happy by Fern Cotton. I will be talking about this a bit more in another video that's coming up that would have already gone up by now, and that is going to be my mental health song wrap-up. It's an informative book, it's non-fiction, it does give you some advice about how to cope with depression and anxiety. But again, it was a bit of name dropping. It was just a bit like, I don't know, I just didn't really get on with it. I'm keeping it because there are bits in here that I found really good. As with a lot of mental health non-fiction books, there are bits and pieces in this that you can pick up and go, fantastic, that relates to me. And other bits that I go, not really, but you know, it's alright. It's just nothing special. Now, the next one is The Adventures of Maud West, Lady Detective. My sister Charlie gave this to me. It was an extra book for the month. She lent this to me, and I'm going to give this back to her. It's the true story of Maud West, who was a ladies' detective. I think it was sort of around about the early 1900s, so she started up in 1905. This, it talks about her other life, really. It talks about the fact that she was known by a different name to this, and Susanna Stapleton has researched a lot into this detective. And the more you find out about the detective, those bits I found interesting, whereas I wanted to find the cases interesting, because I really am into my mysteries and stuff like that, and crime mysteries especially. but not as good as I wanted it to be, so Charlie's definitely getting that back. Now, the next one is a 3.5 stars, because it was really good. My sister Vicky's lent this to me. Jojo Moyes' Last Letter to Your Lover. This has 2 different timelines, which I love. In 1960, Jennifer Sterling lives a life of luxury with her wealthy husband. On paper, she has it all. In reality, she's dangerously devoted to another man, who is asking her to risk everything. 2003, Eddie Howarth works as a journalist for a national newspaper, and is in love with a charming writer. On paper, she should be happy, but in reality, her career is foundering. It was a good book, and there were some bits of it that were fantastic, and some bits that I really loved. But it was probably my least favourite chick lit of the month. I do like Jojo Moyes, but I'm not necessarily going to buy all of her books. I think I'll more borrow them. So that's going back to Vicky. Now I go into my 4-star reads. So, Midsummer's Night's Dream. Loved that. Really good laugh. Read it in one day. Actually I did read it over 2 days, but it was really quick and funny. Perfect summer happy read. It's in my happy reads video. I really enjoyed it. Charlie read it as well, and I loved talking to her about it. My sister was great. She really loved it. And I love the poetry side of it, because it's a play written in poetry. I've classed it as a classic because it is a classic, but it is so much fun, and I really enjoyed that book. But yeah, that one's going to be kept. Shall I keep this one? Yeah, I think I'll keep that one. Next is the Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. Again, for Mental Health is so I'll be talking about this more in that video. I would have talked about it more in that video. But imagine your life is a film directed by God. A rom-com, obviously, complete with happy ever after ending. Before the credit roll, there will of course be tears, tantrums, and a misunderstanding. But you know you'll get there in the end. This is for Mental Health on. It's I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think the lead character Pat has schizophrenia. He has some mental health issues. He had a big happen before the start of this book, and we go into sort of unravelling it and finding out more about what happened, and Pat trying to get back into life and trying to live. But his mental health issue is what sort of really affects him, and it's what sort of stops him from getting back to normality. We meet some lovely characters in this. Pat's relationship with his family is very important. Enjoy that bit, but it's not one I'm going to keep. But I'm glad I read it, and it was on my mental health on, so that's going to be talked about then. The next one again is 4 stars. This is Philomena. I'm still debating. I've rated it 4, but should it be 4 or 3.5? I'm not sure. Because I thought it would be... This is about Philomena Lee, who fell pregnant and was sent to a convent in 1952. For 3 years she looks after her son, and then she's forced to give him away for adoption in America, so he gets taken from a completely different story. I thought we'd hear more about the mother's point of view, but this is all about the boy that she gave up, and this is his life, and it does tackle LGBTQ issues, it tackles AIDS, it tackles quite a lot of hard-hitting issues. It is well written, and I'm glad I read it, but it's not one that touched paper for me. In fact, I think I found it quite hard. But then some of the things that happened, I thought it was more, like I said, as a mother I wanted to read the mother side of you, but it was more about the boy she gave up. Next one, don't know if this, I've not counted this as a classic, but I'm not sure if I should have done. This is Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. Everyone remembers this book from growing up. Some people thought it would be rated higher, some people thought it wouldn't be. I enjoyed it. I love the characters of Rat and, oh my goodness, there's Badger, you've got to love him. There's the frog, oh, it's like the Toad, don't call him a frog, it's a toad. And then you've got Mole, and oh, they're lovely characters. Reminds me so much of growing up. I really enjoyed this book. This is a keep because I really enjoyed it. It's definitely warming, and I think Mia will love it, so she can read that later at some point. The next one is an extra book, Mia's copy, so it's a bit battered and bruised. I read this because of Chloe from Chloe Reads Things, and loved it. Tom's Midnight Garden. It's a middle grade, I would think, classic-ish, so kind of classic, but not totally. When Tom is sent to stay at his aunt and uncle's house for the summer, he resigns himself to endless weeks of boredom. As he lies awake in a bed, he listens to the grandfather clock downstairs. 11, 12, 13. 13! Tom races down the stairs and finds the back door to a wonderful garden, a garden that they told him didn't exist. And it's full of children and magic and other ghosts, or is Tom really a ghost? It's intriguing, it's exciting, it's lovely, it's got a bit of fantasy, got a bit of mystery in it. You're never sure whether he is a ghost or what's going on in that. It's really good. I love this book. So thank you, Chloe, for encouraging me to borrow that from Mia. That's actually a Going Back to Mia book. Another book that I borrowed. This is one of my only mysteries for the month. The Unexpected Inheritance of Inspector Chopra. Charlie's lent this to me. It's set in India, so that's quite good. It is, on the day he retires, Inspector Ashwin discovers that he's inherited an elephant, an unlikely gift that couldn't be more inconvenient. Chopra has one last case to solve. That case that he's solving is fantastic. It's really exciting. It's not a long book. It's a murder investigation. I surprised myself how much I loved this. It was a 4-star, but it was such a good 4-star. It's really exciting. Very different from what I would have expected me to like, but I'm glad I read it, so thank you, Charlie. And one of the Charlie books. This is one of the last books I read, so I only finished it yesterday. Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit by Jeanette Winton. I started this thinking, it's been on my shelves for a while. I wanted to read it because Charlie lent it to me. It's a shorter book, so I thought I'd get an extra one in the last days of reading. And I started off thinking, it's not that great, it's not as interesting, and then I got into it, and it's really good. I can't tell you too much about it because it is a short book, but it's one that has triggers for... I don't know if it's true. It's really interesting. Like, her adopted mother is really into religion, really into faith and stuff like that. And Jeanette is completely different from that. And it's really well written, really exciting. It is very differently written to what I'm used to. But again, it's one that I really liked. And there's certain bits that I love even more. So it's good. So thank you, Charlie, for letting me borrow that. Now, the last book that I finished last night, I finished it literally as it was about 9 o'clock last night. And that is Vivian's Heavenly Ice Cream Shop. This is a lovely, sweet, chick-lit book that makes you smile. It's full of ice cream. It's got recipes at the back. So it's food, romance, love, sisters. What more could a girl want? You know I love books on sisters. You know I love books on love. And you know I love my food. This is gorgeous. It is set in a beach town of Brighton, which I can't wait to go back to. Hint, hint, Chris, if you're watching this, I want to go back there when we can. This is brilliant. It's got a real mixture. It's a 4-star book, which this is where I told you my 4-star book, and this is really good. It surprised me how good a chick lit book this is, but it's not one I'm going to reread, so it will be going to the charity shops. The quality of it's not very good because unfortunately I got it from a car boot sale for 10p. But the writing's beautiful, and it's one that I'm definitely going to look for more Abby Clarence books for chick lit when I need them. So that's going on my giveaway book. And now we're going to go on to another chick lit. This is not intentional the way I've piled these up. A Jenny Colgan book, The Loveliest Chocolate Shop in Paris. An extra book again. It's got, again, like I just said, food, romance, love. This has dual timelines though, which is what I love about this one. So this is what makes it probably one of my favourite chick lits of the month. Because we're hearing Anna Trent basically goes away to Paris because she's had an accident at the start of the book. Something quite bad actually happens at the start of the book, which changes her life. And her old teacher, who becomes a friend of hers, says, go to Paris, learn about chocolate, go work in a restaurant a shop that's knows all about chocolate. Find a life and live. Don't just sit and be unhappy where you are. And I think that's a lesson we could all learn. Let's go and follow our dreams. Right now, more than ever, we've learned that life is for living, and let's enjoy it. And this is brilliant. We also hear about her teacher, the lady that told her to go to Paris, her history and her romance when she was in Paris, when she was a teenager. So the dual timelines point at that is brilliant. It's got recipes at the back. I'm giving it up, but I kind of don't want to give it up. I'm still a bit like, it's brilliant. It's definitely one of Jenny Colgan's best books in my eyes, because you couldn't predict every bit of this book. And it was exciting, and it was cute, and it was lovely, and I am so glad I read it. Actually, if I keep that could be dangerous, because I'll end up making loads of chocolate. And I'm trying to stay slim. Now this one, it's a Maureen Lee book. I thought it was historical fiction. I thought because most of her books are set post-World War or World War II books. But this is actually contemporary, and I loved it. Another 4 stars. It is basically centred around 3 women. Brodie Logan, Diana, Vanessa, Vanessa and Rachel. So Brodie Logan's, she has like what she would think to be a perfect marriage. And when something changes in that, and her life changes, so you start off the book one bit, and then it goes into the more future. So you start off with all of these characters past, different sort of times, different years, and then you go over to where they're all sort of meet together and get in together. And then you've got Diana, who's been keeping house for her brother, but suddenly finds there's no place for her in the only home she's ever known. And then you go to her. Then you've got Vanessa, who's miserable, overweight, and trying to get over being left at the altar. She's lovely. And then you've got 15-year-old Rachel, moves in to escape the people who are trying to take away her baby daughter. So Brodie Logan, basically, she opens like a big house up to become like a B&B. No. She takes in lodgers, basically. So she takes in all those 3 girls, and they have a summer where they never forget. Friendships develop, lives form, and the women become stronger than they ever thought they could be. And it's brilliantly well written. I loved it. Really enjoyed it. One I definitely recommend, and I can't wait to pick up all of Maureen Lee's books. Thank you, my darling Annalisa from Baz Books, because she's getting me some more. She's going into the shop. She's the manager of the shop, and she's looking for more Maureen Lee books for me. So thank you. There you go. Now the next one is one that I buddy read with the lovely Simone. Shadows of the Workhouse. This is the second book in Jennifer Worth's books. The first one was called The Midwife, and then we've got the other 2. Now, I read the first one ages ago, loved it. Simone didn't like it. Then we read the third one in the wrong place in order. Neither of us got on that well with it. I got on better than Simone did. This one, we both agree, is brilliant. It is very hard-hitting. It is centred around the workhouses. It's centred around that sort of time. But it is really well written, and it's fantastic. It's a really good book. The characters are developed so well in this. It is non-fiction, so it is very much about what happened there, but the way she interlinks all their stories is brilliant. It's not on with midwifery at all, so please don't expect it to be, but it is on how the workhouses affected us past, present and future. So this is really good. Loved it. Cannot wait to read the last in the book number 4 now with Simone. Now the next one is a book that I didn't know if I'd get read in all of it. It's an extra book that I read for Mental Health On. Didn't know if I'd get it all finished. It's Not Okay to Feel Blue and Other Lies by Scarlett Curtis and Other Stories. You guys have all heard about this. It's going to be in my Mental Health On wrap-up. It's a mixture of short stories and different things. And Thomas is there. Thomas, can you go away to the top? Sorry about that. And it has got a real mixture of things in it. It's got a mixture of good books, bad books, stories. Some of them I really loved, some of them I didn't. But it is good. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I would say though with that one, it's a case of if you want to learn more about mental health, pick it up. But to me, it's not all of the stories were relatable for me, but again, a lot of them were. So now we're going on to my last lead, my bits. I'm very aware this is a long video. My 5-star books. Anne's House of Dreams. This is one of my favourite out of all the Anne of Green Gables books. Anne's House of Dreams is probably up there, joint verse with the first book, and it is hard hitting. There are actually, for the first time in ever, there are some triggers in these books. Mia, can you shut the door please? And there are some triggers in this book, and it is hard. There are bits where you actually cry, and bits where you feel so sorry for Anne, and bits where you cry for other characters, but it's a really good, well written book, and I thoroughly loved this. So thank you so much, Tia, for getting me reading this Anne of Green Gables series. I'm absolutely loving it. Now the next one is a book that I got sent for a read-along, so check out my Goodreads review on Instagram and on Goodreads. This is for a blog tour. This is The Night Lawyer, and all I can say is, wow, blooming wow. Another Red Door book. Red Door Press has not let themselves down again. This is another book of theirs that I absolutely thoroughly loved. It is probably one of the best thrillers I've actually got, and I think I'm going to keep it because it's that well written. And there was actually twists and turns that I didn't really expect at all. There's so much of this book that I didn't expect to love, and I couldn't have predicted the ending at all. Like, sometimes you can, but I really couldn't in this. And I loved it, and I'm really glad I read it. So thank you guys for sending it out for the blog tour. Now, I'll be honest with you, I love the next view. Actually, I'm going to do it in a different order on my phone. This is it's kind of a funny story by Nefasini. This is an extra book for the month, but it was one of the books that I think got read last year for Mental Health On. My sister Charlie had it, and I wanted to borrow it for this Mental Health On for ages. Got it in time, and I will be honest with you, check out my Mental Health On video, because sneaky peek, you would have probably already heard this, but it's it was actually one of my favourite books for mental health on. This is tackling depression. This is tackling it in such a way that it's just relatable. He gets admitted the lead character gets admitted to, he self-admits himself to a mental health ward to get help for his depression. And the help he gets given and the lessons he learns, I think it actually was one of the first ones that I could really relate to. And I related to so much in this book, and found it really good. It's well written. Yes, Craig Gilner is in New York City, so it's an American teenager. But so much of his story I could relate to, and so many lessons I learnt for my own mental health. And I found this really good, so thank you, Charlie, for lending me that. Then, my joint favourite for the month with one of my audiobooks was The Amber Spyglass. It's the last in the Dark Materials series, and oh my goodness, it ends on a high. I absolutely love this. This is where Lyra and Will, they start off separated, and they have to get back together, and they have to save the world, all their worlds, and fix everything. And oh my goodness, there's so much of this book that made me cry. And I thoroughly loved it. It was so good. Thank you. I love buddy reading with Gaia, Charlie and Berna. It was fantastic. I love this book. I'm so glad I've got this series. Thank you so much to my uncle for giving me this series and challenging me to read something that I never thought I would enjoy, but I loved it. Now the other 5-star book, which I don't obviously have with me because it was an audiobook, which is The Mercies by Karen Milde Hargreaves. I never remember the last name. And safe to say, it is one of Simon from Savage Reed's favourite books, and it is absolutely fantastic. It's hard-hitting, it's on witchcraft, it is set in Norway, I think, and it is set at a time when there was a big storm where these people live, and most of the men die in this storm, when they're on the fishing boats, and they die. And so this guy gets sent to reverend, to pastor sort of thing, to look up to sort of things faith in, and you think he's a good guy, but trust me, he's not. He's, oh my goodness. And friendships develop. You hear about women standing up for themselves and how women got purgatorized on this. It is so hard hitting. It was such an amazing book though, and I loved it, and I'm so glad I read it. But yeah, another one that made me cry. So yeah, my 2 favourite books of the month were The Amber Spyglass and The Mercies. What were yours? I can't wait to hear. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.